If you want to see a movie that will keep you glued to your seat, even though you badly want to poop as fear twists your stomach. Erotic scenes that will make you go, ugh, because you are in public, but ooh, when you think about it later. And the story is so unconventional that you will see and feel things long after you leave the cinema. Sinners is the movie for you. So I saw Sinners a few days ago at the cinema, and even though I have never really thought about doing Hollywood movie reviews, I felt compelled to talk about what I felt about this one because of the impression that it made on me. And also, it's my channel and microphone, so I can do whatever the hell I want. The film is directed by Ryan Coogler, the guy who made Black Panther and had us crossing arms over chest and babbling Wakanda forever like psychos for a fictional African country so advanced that they have invisible airplanes, a metal called vibranium, which is basically God, but who still weirdly choose their leaders by having the contenders fight to the death like animals. I don't know about that, Sha. Sinner is basically on everybody's lips by now. So, as you may know, the movie is headlined by every girl's spiritual husband, Michael B. Jordan. As you may also know, the only thing that is better than one Michael B. Jordan is two Michael B. Jordans. So the story revolves around these two hustling former soldiers who returned to their Mississippi roots from Chicago to open up a club in the midst of the Prohibition. FYI, the Prohibition was a 12-year period when the entire USA turned to northern Nigeria because of some religious fervor and banned alcohol between 1920 and 1933 thereabouts. Reason being to stop drunkenness and reduce the general occurrence of the evil that men do. Even though it really didn't end up working out because people just began smuggling it and making alcohol out of everything from potatoes to grass. So these two guys return to their roots with a heavy cauldron of violence and more than a hint of crime in their recent past. Because where did they get all the hundreds of bottles of wine from in a time when alcohol was illegal? The main aim is to make money. That's how you know that the characters' ancestors were able. And so they organized the biggest party ever in this disgustingly poor community. Like everybody in this place seems to be a cotton picker or something. I just don't know where they are supposed to be making money to spend on smuggled drinks. But okay, they end up doing a lot of publicity and preparations for the party, including recruiting a former lover to handle the food. And looking at this woman's arms, you just know that her akara will be sweet. On the night of the party, they had some old washed up singer open up the dance floor before he introduces the gifted main character of the story to the stage. And guys, you need to hear this guy's voice. The moment he opens his mouth to sing, you just know that the spirit has to come up or come down because it's either Satan or the Lord that we have to enter their midst. No in between. As it happens, the song greatly arouses some vampires dressed in human clothing, looking for human suya that night. And it leads us to a very interesting conversation at the doorway that reveals some vampire myth and lore in stages. I really liked it. The newcomers are turned away from the party, and the show just goes on. And I tell you, it really goes on. In fact, at some point, it began to remind me of a Nigerian truth or dare party. We have some sprinkles of adultery, here and there. And at some point, our guy tells this married babe, I want to taste you. And the babe was like, no, no, I walked over here and she was all shy. And he's like, I like it marinated. So if you just keep calm and lie down, thank you very much. He actually didn't say that, but you get the point. There were many people in the cinema at this time, and I was righteously like, with a cold expression of disgust on my face. But in my mind, I was like, ooh. It also happens that these vampires like to slobber with spittle when they are hungry. So during another Mekwe scene, one guy says to the girl, he didn't know that she was a vampire yet. What's wrong with you? Why are you slobbering? Do I look like party jollof rice? And the babe was like, you want some? And he nodded. And she slobbered into his mouth a lot of spit. And I was like, ew. I'm not going to lie, it was not my proudest moment. My absolute favorite part of this movie is the music, which is the point, which is the reason I'm making this review, just to share how I felt about just one particular scene in general, to be honest. It's pretty fantastic. So there's a lot of blues singing in it, a lot of songs, and everyone has like this gifted voice. I really liked it. I really don't know how else to put it. Everything was a hit. the blues that the guy was singing in the club, the country song that the vampires were dancing to outside in the pitch darkness. Oh boy, it just makes you want to buy a vampire membership card and just register. The whole point of the movie is that music has the power to draw ancient evil to you. That's if you are talented enough. So don't worry, nothing will happen to you. At some point during a song, the past and the future sort of meld into this one great whole. So even though this movie is taking place, I think, in the 1920s or 1930s, you suddenly see singers and musicians and dancers from all ages dancing in and out of existence. You see rock stars, ancient dancers, future musicians with their guitars, with modern microphones, and even an Igbo masquerade doing leg work right there in the club. Oh boy, it was transcendental. I have no idea how else to describe it. And it was also all one take, so it was both a technical achievement and story wise it was fantastic to look at. My eyes were just hooked to the screen, and I don't really think I've ever seen that kind of thing on a screen before. The last time I felt this way in the cinema was when I saw X-Men Days of Future Past in 2014 or so. I remember I walked in a daze to the bus stop because that Sentinel fighting scene at the beginning and the Quicksilver escape scene at the Pentagon just blew my mind away. If YouTube has brought you to my channel for the first time today, welcome. I am Ekwe from Nigeria. I mostly review Nigerian productions, so if you're interested in that too, you can check out dozens of funny video reviews I've put out over the last 1 year. Time really flies. I feel like I started this channel like just a few months ago. It's crazy. 1 year. God damn. All right, back to the show. So you know that according to vampire law, they can't really enter your house unless you actually invite them in. So there were some interesting shenanigans around shouting and taunting the vampires from behind open doors, not closed doors this time, since they can't actually enter until you invite them in. And the vampires are trying to prove that someone or the other was not a vampire. It was all crazy. It was interesting. I don't want to spoil it too much, but at some point, one woman just loses her self-control after thinking of her daughter who could be attacked while she's home. And I just love how everyone just realizes this at the same time and rushes to shut her up before she screams, "Come on in!" Motherfucker! Before we have a very exciting Royal Rumble battle with guns, knives, and garlic. It's fantastic. The ending too was pretty great. If you go to see the movie, just make sure that you wait until they actually stop showing anything on the screen before you leave. I had actually begun to leave the theater before I realized that there was still a good about 4 minutes of film left that takes place, sometime in the future. Okay, so the movie is still in cinemas and I don't want to spoil too much of it. So let me really just get into like my closing statements. Sometimes during the course of consuming a work of art, usually fiction, like a book or a movie or a TV show, I come to the realization that I am watching something that has been produced by somebody or a group of people that are working at the absolute height of their powers. And that is what I feel that Ryan Coogler did with this movie. I'm watching it while being thankful that I'm part of the experience. I am grateful that I have been able to appreciate many things like this, and I do not at all take it lightly because it kind of just makes it's like a small high in your brain. The last time I felt this for a TV show was when I saw Arcane and The Fall of the House of Usher, both on Netflix. I also felt it when I read George R. R. Martin's Song of Ice and Fire, which is a Game of Thrones. George Orwell's 1984, which is my favorite book of all time, by the way. Dan Simmons' Hyperion Cantos, Isaac Asimov's Foundation series, and Frank Herbert's Dune. You know that feeling when you pause a show or you just manage to tear your eyes away from an enjoyable book just so that you can look at the world around you for a moment and thank God that you are alive to experience this moment of time. That is kind of what I felt when I was in the cinema watching Sinners. Unfortunately, it's a feeling for me that is usually lacking in Nigerian productions. But to be honest, I don't really hold them up to that kind of standard anyway. Because even if the story is alright, there will be a lot of technical issues and there will be a lot of difficulty in bringing the vision to the screen. Tosin Eagle's suspicion with Stanze comes a bit close though. In essence, this Sinners movie gave me the chills, and even though I'm not a filmmaker, I felt elated, elevated, and edified. Oh, wow. Okay, I felt elated, elevated, and edified as I was walking out of the cinema. See how I'm just pumping out free alliterations for you guys. You people don't deserve me, honestly. For something else I liked about the movie, I liked how they leaned into this vampire lore that nobody ever hears about again. Nowadays, vampire movies are always about some guy shooting vampires and having them explode in the sunlight. But in this one, aside from the usual sunlight vulnerability, we have the vulnerability to garlic, then the thing about inviting vampires into your home before they can actually bite you. And then using music as the main story thread highly elevated this stuff for me because there was no weird MacGuffin that they had to go and find, one the chalice of something or the egg or something that the heroes should all have been trying to capture. It's just a talent that attracts evil and a dusk till dawn. See what I did there? Struggle for life by a bunch of clueless people. Michael B. Jordan was nothing short of fantastic in this stuff. He bodied the role, honestly, along with pretty much everyone in this. So for me, if I wanted to rate this movie, I'll give it like a 9/10. Truly, it's certainly an experience to check out if you can. I know it's not the point of the movie, but I'd have liked them to have expanded on the juju aspect of it. There's this lady who does a definition like this Ifa priest, and she looks into the stones or whatever to figure out what they should do or what kind of evil is befalling them. So she had a bit of knowledge about the whole thing, and then she kind of acts as the guide for the rest. So she's like some in that event like a priestess. So I really like how they leaned into the actual African roots of some African traditions while still interfacing it against vampires. It was all very well done, to be honest. If you like this review and would like to see me make more Hollywood stuff as well as Nollywood, let me know in the comments. To be honest, I don't really intend to make many of them, if at all. Only the ones that strike me in particular. If you don't like it, it's fine. Because there are a billion funny YouTube channels that review Hollywood stuff better than I ever will. Alright then, I will see you in the next one. I don't want this video to be too long. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and leave a comment, especially if you've seen the movie. See you on the next one.